Greetings to all of you. Tonight on the Whispering Shadow channel, we invite you to join the author Huyen Chan in the story Catching the Forest Spirit of Pu Mat. Now we are honored to present this story for you. The familiar sound of the master's cart echoed along the narrow path leading back to the village. The village was located in the forested region of northern Ng'e-an. Hai, 25 years old this year, worked as a laborer for a family in the town. He stayed at his employer's house, and every week he would request one day off to return home. He would rest for one night and then go back to work the next day. The journey took nearly a whole day, which meant that every time Hai returned home, he only had enough time to eat a meal and take a nap. The reason for his perseverance was not just that he missed home. His stepmother had been chronically ill, suffering from both tuberculosis and asthma. Since it was only the early 1980s, Hai did not have the means to take her to a hospital. All he could do was work hard and save money. So Huang Tuan brought herbal medicine home for his mother. Besides Hai and his stepmother, the household included Sun, Hai's younger brother, 20 years old. Unlike his older brother, Sun did not work far from home, but was assigned by Hai to look after and care for their mother. Sun was by no means lazy. In the village, the two brothers also had a small garden. Sun grew vegetables and some small apple trees to harvest and either trade or sell for rice, meat or fish. Overall, the family was not wealthy, but the three of them always lived in harmony and cared for one another. On the final evening, just as night fell, Hai returned home. He parked his cart in the corner of the stilt house, carrying a basket with some herbal medicine and a small sack of rice. "Son, mother, I'm home," he called, but before he could even smile for long, Hai froze. He saw his younger brother rushing out from the house. "Brother Hai! Brother Hai! Something's wrong with mother. She's been weak and short of breath all morning, and just a little while ago she even coughed up blood." Hai's hands trembled and the basket fell to the ground. "Why are you standing there? Quickly take mother to Mr. Mok's house." Hai rushed in, and Sun hurriedly followed. The person they referred to, Mr. Mok, was a village herbalist who treated the villagers' illnesses. He was also a respected figure with authority, so the villagers had chosen him as the village chief. At that moment, the two brothers carried their stepmother to Mr. Mok's house. The family was having dinner at the time. Since this wasn't the first time, as soon as he saw them, Mr. Mok stood up and waved them to bring her to a bed in the guest room, reserved for patients. After more than half an hour, Bahua had somewhat returned to normal. She lay quietly with her eyes tightly shut. The two brothers hadn't yet felt relief when Hai noticed Mr. Mok's grim expression. He immediately asked, "Mr. Mok, how is my mother? Is she okay?" "Right now, Bahua is stable," Mr. Mok replied. "But please, sir, if there's anything I should know, tell me. I worry so much when you hesitate. Or maybe the herbal medicines you told me to buy weren't sufficient, or there's something missing. I'll do my best to find whatever else is needed," Hai added anxiously. Mr. Mok shook his head. The problem wasn't the medicine. It was that Hai's mother's illness could not be fully cured. The herbs he had instructed them to buy were mainly tonic medicines. Now, Bahua was too weak for even these remedies to have any effect. "Heaven help me. What can you do?" "Now?" Sun reacted more strongly than his elder brother and rushed forward. "Mr. Mok, aren't you the wisest person in the village?" "There must be a way to save my mother," Sun pleaded. Just then, Bahua weakly spoke. Both Hai and Sun immediately ran to her side. "Mother! Mother! Nothing must happen to you!" they cried. Bahua forced a faint smile onto her lips. "I'll be fine. Maybe it's time for me to reunite with your father. He's probably waiting for me," she murmured. "No, Mother, you can't leave us," Sun cried out. "Mother, you have to promise to stay healthy so you can see us. Marry and have children? If anything happens to you now, I don't think I could survive," Hai added, his voice thick with emotion. Ba Hua seemed like she wanted to say more, but her words were choked by emotion. She raised a trembling hand and gently stroked her son's hair. "Is there really no other way?" Hai asked desperately. Mr. Mok sighed deeply, but only shook his head softly. Not wanting to trouble him further, Hai said, "Brother Sun, let's take Mother home. I think she would want to go home now." Ba Hua nodded faintly. "Yes, I want to go home," she whispered. "Today that Hai has come home, Mother will cook a proper meal for both of you," she added. With that, Sun carried their mother, while Hai bowed respectfully to thank and bid farewell to Mr. Mok. That day's meal for the three of them was simple but special. Besides plain rice and mashed sweet potatoes, there was a plate of boiled chicken, which Sun had caught from their small chicken coop. The garden was deep and lush. Ba Hua appeared calm as she placed 2 chicken drumsticks into the bowls of her sons. "Here, son, eat. Isn't it delicious? Boiled chicken smells so good. You've done well, son. Even the vegetables look good. And you've grown so strong and healthy," Ba Hua said with a warm smile. Hai picked up one of his drumsticks and placed it in front of Ba Hua's bowl. "Mother, you eat this. I don't want the drumstick." "Oh, don't pretend," she teased. "Every time we have chicken at home, you and son never fight over it, right? Come on, eat. You've both lost weight lately, so don't overwork yourselves. Take it easy," she continued gently. Then Ba Hua leaned closer to Sun, teasing him lightly. "And I heard people saying you have your eye on the girl from the other end of the village, huh? If that's true, I'd be so happy. She's pretty and comes from a good family, but if you really want to marry her, you'll have to save money for the dowry. Buy some buffalo and pigs for her family." What Ba Hua said were ordinary remarks, but in that moment they felt like a tender blessing. Sun dropped his chopsticks and hugged his mother tightly. "Mother, don't just tell me that. You must come with me to ask for her hand. Mother, you must come," he pleaded, his voice choking with emotion. The three of them, mother and sons, hugged each other tightly, overcome with feeling. Just as Hai was touched by the scene, he heard a knock at the gate. "It's me, Mark," came a familiar voice. "Oh, Mr. Mark." Hai hurriedly stepped out to open the gate. Indeed, Mr. Mark was waiting outside, carrying his medical kit. "I've come to check on Ba Hua," he said. "Please come." In, they invited him. Ba Hua greeted him warmly. Only Sun showed a hint of skepticism. In his mind, the old man always managed to save Ba Hua as he had in the past. About half an hour later, after checking her pulse and giving her a small amount of light-colored herbal liquid, Mr. Mok looked at them intently. "Hi, son, come out here. I need to tell you something," he said. "Yes, sir. What is it?" they asked, walking outside. Hai was worried, expecting bad news about his mother's condition, but to their surprise, the first words Mr. Mok said to Hai were, "If there is a way to save your mother right now, would you do it?" "Sir, there is?" Hai asked, stunned. "Yes, there is a way, but tell me honestly, are you willing? You won't need money, no need to buy anything. You won't even need to sell anything. The only thing required is your courage, Mr. Mok explained. "I don't understand. What do you mean? Are you joking with us?" Hai asked incredulously. "No joke," Mr. Mok replied firmly. "In fact, in the medical book that was passed down to me, there is mention of a herb called Huyet Nyai. It has the power to restore life. Anyone critically ill on the verge of death can be cured with it." "That's amazing. Where can I get it? I'll buy it immediately," Hai exclaimed. "I already told you," Mr. Mok replied. "No one sells it. It only grows in a remote valley called the Valley of Resentful Bones, deep in the western edge of the Pumat Forest. From here to there takes more than a day. That's not too far, but I've lived here all my life and never heard of that valley. How do you know about it?" Hai asked. "Only the elders in the village might know," Mr. Mok said. "As I said earlier, all it takes to reach it is courage. Why? Do you think there's something terrifying there?" Hai and Sun glanced at each other. "We've been going into the forest to dig bamboo shoots since we were kids. Don't worry, there are shelters in the forest and it's safe," Hai said confidently. The forest itself isn't unusual, Mr. Mock explained, but the Valley of Resentful Bones is full of yin energy. It's a sacred forest with poisonous plants, and a malevolent spirit resides there. Anyone who enters is scared, teased, or even has their soul taken, which leads them astray and can cost them their lives. Spirit? Demon? What is that? I'm not scared, Sun said defiantly. Don't speak recklessly, Mr. Mock admonished him. Let me finish. He paused thoughtfully before continuing. There are many dangers there. To pass safely, you must follow these rules. First, you must not call each other's names. Second, avoid the wider paths. They're more dangerous. Third, bring enough food and water for 3 days. Do not take anything from the valley itself. Even a sip of water from the streams can trap you. Finally, you must stay together at all times and carry this item with you. Mr. Mock pulled from his bag what looked like a talisman. This is a protective charm against evil spirits. I received it from a high-ranking shaman among the Thai ethnic people. Follow these rules and carry this charm, and it will protect you in any danger. Hai took the talisman immediately, but he hesitated and asked, Sir, can I go alone? And can stay home to look after Mother and manage the house? That depends on you, Mr. Mock said, but I think it's better if you go together. That way, you can support each other if anything happens. Sun quickly spoke up. Exactly, Brother Hai. You must let me go. I'm not a child, and sometimes having me along makes all the difference. All right, we can decide about the details later. Later, Mr. Mock handed Hai several sheets of paper with inscriptions. They showed the path to the Valley of Resentful Bones and had drawings describing the Huyet Nai plant. It looked like a type of wild grass with small red flowers. Then Mr. Mock repeated the 4 rules once more. Hai and Sun nodded, committing everything to memory, and also asked the old man to stay home and look after Bahua while they were gone. A short while later, the 2 brothers returned to the house under the curious gaze of their mother. Son, what did Mr. Mock say to you two? Bahua asked. Mother, it's good news. There's a way to save you, Hai replied. We didn't hide anything. She's fine, Sun added. Bahua was skeptical at first, but saw the excitement on her sons' faces and realized they were telling the truth. Even if they were lying, their expressions would not have shown such hope. She asked more questions, and the boys reassured her that Mr. Mock had found a medicine that could cure her. They omitted the dangers of the journey, knowing that Bahua would never allow them to leave if she knew. All right, Mother, let's eat and celebrate. Soon you'll be healthy again. You must live with us until 100 years old, Sun said cheerfully. The celebratory meal was full of joy, and the faces of Hai and Sun glowed with hope. The next morning, Hai woke up quite early, even before the rooster crowed. He was startled to see that Sun had risen even earlier. Bahua was already busy, gathering firewood to cook sticky rice. This would be the food for the brothers for the next 2 or 3 days. Once preparations were complete, Hai and Sun stepped outside. At that moment, Mr. Mock also appeared. He scanned them from head to toe and asked, Do you remember everything I explained yesterday? Yes, sir, they replied. Make sure to bring enough food and water for the forest journey and for sleeping along the way, Mr. Mock continued. Yes, sir, we've got everything, Hai assured him. This is enough even for a week, Mr. Mock said. I'm just old, so I tend to worry. Don't underestimate the dangers. This forest is poisonous and unlike the other forests around here. Now it's time. Farewell. Farewell, Mother. We'll go now, the brothers called, and so they followed the narrow trail toward the mountains behind the village. After a few steps, Hai glanced back. He saw Bahua and Mr. Mock standing at the gate, waving. Nearly 3 hours passed, and the brothers had only reached halfway up the first mountain. Yet the journey was far from over. They still had another mountain to cross. They were now approaching the eastern part of the Pumat forest, the place known as the Valley of Resentful Bones. By midday, the 2 brothers stopped at a large rock near a stream. While eating their rice balls and sipping herbal water, Sun turned to his older brother. "Anjay, I've been wondering since yesterday, why is this valley called the Valley of Resentful Bones?" he asked. "How should I know?" I replied. "Don't worry about that. Focus on finding the medicine for Mother, and remember to stay close to me and follow Mr. Mock's instructions. I'm already 20. I'm not a child," Sun said with a hint of defiance. After a quick meal, the two brothers continued on their way. Their goal for the day was to cross the second mountain, camp there for the night, and then enter the Valley of Resentful Bones the following morning. Traveling in the morning would reduce some of the dangers. They hoped to find the Huyet Nyai herb and leave the valley quickly. As the day progressed, everything went according to Hai's plan. Near sunset, he chose a flat patch of land near a large tree and, with his brother's help, set up a tarp to form a sturdy tent. A large fire was lit ahead of them to keep warm and ward off wild animals. That night, their meal consisted of rice, balls, roasted ants, and herbal water. Sun, while quickly eating, muttered, "The rice is too dry, Anjay. Back home, we could have caught some fish from the stream and cooked a fresh meal tomorrow morning. Can't we do that here?" "Didn't you hear what Mr. Mock said?" I scolded lightly. "It's just a few fish in the stream. What's the big deal?" Sun protested. Seeing his brother's determined gaze, Sun sighed and gave up his idea. After finishing their simple meal, the two brothers lay down to rest. Meanwhile, back home, Bahoa felt restless and uneasy. When she pressed Mr. Mock for details, he revealed the dangers of the journey and the meaning behind the Valley of Resentful Bones. She gasped in shock. "Heavens! Why did you send them there?" she exclaimed. "Is there really no other way? But now, they're already gone. Nothing can be changed. All I can do is pray that their steps are sure, their path safe, and that they will complete their task and return quickly from that dangerous place." Bahoa now knelt, hands clasped, quietly praying to the heavens and Buddha to protect Hai and Sun. As the night deepened, the air grew colder. Hai curled up in the thin blanket he had brought, which, of course, was not enough to keep him warm. He glanced at Sun, who seemed to be sleeping soundly, even snoring loudly. No matter what, Hai felt grateful for having Sun with him. Alone, he wasn't sure he would have had the courage to continue. He lay awake until dawn, before finally catching some sleep. When he woke, the sunlight was streaming through the tent. The fire still burned brightly, and next to it were several fish skewered on sticks. Looking around, Hai noticed Sun was not nearby. "Sun, Sun," he called. Sun quickly came over. "Anjay, you're awake? You slept so long." Hai didn't respond immediately, but looked down at the fish. "What's this?" "These are fish we caught from the nearby stream. Look at how big they are. They must taste great," Sun said proudly. "Don't you remember what Mr. Mock said?" Hai reminded him. Sun shrugged. "I didn't forget. Mr. Mock only said we shouldn't eat or drink anything inside the Valley of Resentful Bones. That doesn't apply to other parts of the forest. We need to eat properly to have strength to find the medicine. But we have rice balls and some food already. Why catch fish?" Hai asked. "You can't just eat rice," Sun replied. "We need a little meat and fish, and these are fresh and fat. If we have time when we return, we can even dry some for later. The rainy season is coming. But all right, let's focus on curing Mother's illness. Come on, eat the fish before it gets cold," he added, taking charge and placing the cooked fish on banana leaves. Indeed, after eating the fish, Hai felt his spirits lift. Around 8 a.m., the two brothers packed up and headed west. According to the map Mr. Mock had given them, they would reach their next point in 1 or 2 hours. As they ventured deeper, the air became damp and suffocating. They even encountered large snakes along the way. But with Hai's experience in the forest, they managed to stay safe. Hours passed, and by 2:10 p.m., Hik and Sun stopped at a clearing with a stream running through it. In the distance, a few hundred meters ahead, they could see a ridge. Hai carefully stored the herbs in his pack while Sun stood up. "Anjay, I'll stay here and set up the tent. I'm going down to the stream to catch some more fish and crabs. We need a proper celebration meal for finding Mother's medicine." Sun said eagerly. "Be careful, don't overdo it," Hai warned. "Don't worry. Even if I catch too much, it'll all go into our stomachs," Sun replied with a grin. With that, Sun grabbed his small pack and knife and headed toward the stream. Meanwhile, Hai unpacked some tarps from his pack to set up the tent. His spirits were high, and soon the tent was complete. Lighting the fire was easy enough, but as time passed, Sun hadn't returned. Hunger began gnawing at Hai, and he muttered to himself, "That boy probably got carried away catching too much again." "Sun, where are you? Come back! I'm starving!" Hai shouted. He expected his brother to answer, but there was only silence and the gentle murmur of the stream. Looking at his watch in surprise, Hai realized it was already past 4 p.m. This was exactly the time they had planned to leave the valley after finding the Huyet Ngai. Could my watch have died? He wondered, but quickly dismissed the thought, remembering he had replaced the battery just last month. Ignoring the watch, he started searching for Sun, calling loudly along the stream. "Sun! Sun!" Still, there was no reply. When he reached the stream bank, he found Sun's forest knife stuck into the ground. "Sun! Sun!" Hai shouted, panic rising in his chest. But that wasn't the only strange thing. The stream was flowing backward against the usual current. A chill ran down his spine. Something was very wrong. Hai remembered the talisman Mr. Mok had given them. He quickly pulled it from his jacket pocket. As he held it, it began to glow faintly, startling him. Almost immediately, the surrounding landscape changed. Hai froze in shock. He was standing in the stream within the Valley of Resentful Bones. In the distance, the waterfall and the clusters of Huyet Ngai were visible. "What is happening?" he whispered, just as eerie, terrifying laughter echoed around him. Hai gripped the talisman tightly in one hand, the other clutching his forest knife. "Who's there?" he called, but there was no answer. The eerie laughter gradually faded into silence. His thoughts immediately turned to his younger brother. What he was witnessing now, the strange surroundings and the silence, made him anxious. It was as if something had obscured their vision, despite them never having left the Valley of Resentful Bones since the afternoon. Remembering something, Hai dashed back to their tent, lit his torch, and began searching for Sun. M, he shouted, finally spotting his brother. But Sun was standing atop the waterfall, a spot nearly impossible to climb even in daylight. Holding the torch in his hand, Hai called out again, "Sun! Sun!" Yet Sun did not respond. Instead, he stared at his brother with wide, unnerving eyes, a strange grin spreading across his face. "Are you crazy? Come down! You're in danger up there," Hai shouted. Then suddenly Sun threw back his head and laughed loudly before plunging into the water below. The waterfall wasn't very high, but the pool beneath was shallow and littered with large, jagged rocks. Hai's heart sank as he heard the sickening thud of his brother hitting the rocks. Despite the darkness and chaos, Hai leapt into the water without hesitation. Even in the dim light, he could see the black water speckled with red, and the metallic smell of fresh blood filled the air. Reaching his brother, Hai realized Sun had a severe head wound from striking the rocks at the waterfall's base. Panicked, he shouted, Sun!" Blood flowed freely, and his brother was unconscious, showing no signs of responding. At that moment, the eerie laughter returned. This time, when Hai looked around, he didn't just see the laughing echo, it was a figure. Standing near the tent was a woman with hair cascading down to her heels. The shadows from the fire concealed her face, yet her eyes shone brightly, like a cat's in the night. She hissed, "You will die here. You will perish." Hai's body went rigid. He felt paralyzed, drained of strength. In that moment of imminent danger, he remembered Mr. Mok's talisman. Holding it up in front of him, the talisman flared with a brilliant sudden light, illuminating the darkness around him.